We'll give it a moment to check on our page, refresh. Good. We're on. So welcome again. Happy Friday. My name is Noah for people who don't know us yet. And I'm with my partner in crime, Ruti. And we're doing live sessions from What Really Is. And I want to say a little bit about what we're doing in the live sessions and in general in our work, in our research, and in many ways in the way we wish to live our lives. For me, the easiest way to say what we're doing is we have an inner strong wish to discern between the thoughts and the way our mind interprets our life, our reality, and between what really is. And for me, what really is coming out of the natural law of nature. This is, for the time being, the most objective, the most fundamental truth we can refer to. I am recording now the audiobook in Hebrew, the audiobook of What Really Is, the book that started this whole project, if you can call it, our website, our coming out to the world. And when I read it out loud, I get to hear it again. And I just want to say that this is actually the first time I read it since we wrote it. And I edited it and then I made it look nice and stuff. So I dealt a lot with the book. But this is the first time I read it and I get to experience it. And because I read it out loud for an audiobook, I really need to make sure that the words are very much alive in me. So they won't come out just as empty words. This would be a real sin, especially for this book. So it's interesting because I've been doing What Really Is. I've been coaching with you, Ruti, for 4 or 5 years already. And in the last 2 years, this is almost everything I do. But it's quite amazing to see how this notion of the difference between what really is and what is not, meaning what really is and what is made of thoughts, it gets deeper and deeper with life experience. With the more you research it, the more you wish to see it, the more you wish to experience it, it really gets, there's a, if you can call it, development in the level of your understanding of the difference. I hope I'm being somehow clear about what we're doing. If you'd like to add something for this introduction, Ruti?
Maybe I would just say that when we live our lives out of our minds,
I think you need to talk a bit louder.
It's better now. When we live our lives out of the realm of thoughts, we are trapped without knowing it in the realm of opinions and identities. We are used to relate to ourselves as a thing. It doesn't sound good, but that's how we do it. Yeah, I am my ideas, I am my positions, I am my property, I am of value, or I lessen my value. Yeah,
I'm also my memories, my decisions.
Exactly, which are also thoughts. These are also conclusions that we made along life. And if they become mistakenly what we refer to as what we are. Okay, and that's not what we are. So our main, if I would call it responsibility in a good sense, is to notice that I am not all of these. Without answering the question, then what am I? Okay, which is really, our mind really tempts us to give an answer, to create an alternative. What really is? Then can you tell me what really is? And the, the, the simple, maybe naked truth is that every time I would try to answer this, I would find myself again in the realm of thoughts. But contrary to what we are used to believe, that doesn't mean that I'll be passive, and it doesn't mean that I'll be like all over the place or without a center. But this center or this inner knowing won't come from my thoughts or my past. They will come out of me letting an inner deep wisdom to make it possible to realize it, actually, in real life.
But this is such a thin line between being silent or not doing, not saying, not answering, not trying to, and being passive. And that leads us very well to our subject today, which is leadership.
Mm-hmm.
When we say leadership, the first, I'm an actress, yeah? So the first thing that will come to me would be like, I'm a leader, so I am active, I am out front, I am extrovert, I speak, I make a change. That's what leadership is for us. And what you're actually saying, and this is what we're here to explore through the eyes of what really is, whatever that means, is what would leadership look like if we won't follow this habit and if we won't follow this picture that, God, we've seen in so many stories, books, movies, series, myths. And also it brings up the question, why? Because why did it become like this? And what is there a truth? Is there wisdom in this? And if yes, then what are we doing with this now? Because obviously it doesn't, at least for now, it doesn't bring much good, if I say it carefully. Yeah, so what is changing, and what is required of us today in terms of challenging our image of leadership?
It begins with challenging the question of what is real and what is reality. Because when we come from our thoughts, we have a debate actually going in our minds, each one of us, and then also between ourselves, yeah, between amongst people. We have debates, we have sometimes arguments of our opinions and the amount of which they are true and needed. Okay.
You mean inside ourselves we have this debate?
Inside ourselves and amongst ourselves, between people. When we meet, we exchange ideas and thoughts and opinions. Sometimes we argue about them. Sometimes we create our own camp, our own side, which is actually people who think like me, who approach life as I do. But actually, all of these are still happening in the realm of thought, meaning in the understanding that I am a thing, that I am an identity, that I am, and that other people are also things. And then we need to see how things go along, how they can manage to be together, how can they try to manage not to hurt. But also, people want to control, people want to have more. People will sometimes not hesitate to take from another or to even hurt another. And that's the truth. It's the way that it is. But it is not our nature. This is what happens when we come out of the realm of thoughts and out of our minds. And when we say mind, and the second chapter is really dealing with that, the world of fear is actually the world which is determined by two basic assumptions, saying the world is complex and dangerous, and we are missing. We are like lacking and in many ways insufficient. When we approach the world from there, we'll find ourselves, first of all, in survival. And survival means usually either or. Someone is paying the price, taking whatever I can, even more than I need, so that in a time of crisis, I have like reserves and so on. And it's also concerned most of the time with what is what's not, what I don't have, what I haven't reached, what might be taken away from me. That's survival mode. Okay, I'm always concerned with those questions. If I have money, or if I have property, or if I have some kind of security, I would be troubled by losing it. And if I don't have it, I'm angry at other people who have it. I'm jealous at other people who have it, and I'm striving to get this. So I'm not listening.
This is really, I think you said it pretty fast, but I'd like to go back to it because it's actually amazing. Even when we have things, we're still focused on what is missing because we think what will happen if I lose it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really like endless.
Right. And we also know that we might lose it. And it's right. It's correct.
Yeah, for sure.
I have a house and then I can lose it because I lost money or because I get divorced or because things happen in
because
life.
The government changed the rules or because there's a war or because
right,
because life.
Right. So I can lose things, but if I continue to live in these basic assumptions, believing in the basic assumptions that I'm lacking and that I'm all the time coping with difficulties and losses and dangers, then leadership would be promising to save you from that, giving you false security, because no one can guarantee that this would not happen. And on the other hand, sometimes evoking, it's like even tempting this survival mode so that other people don't believe that there's anything else but this survival mode. And then from there, it's the strongest wins, the one who takes more is stronger, and from then we know how it goes. I think the United States, in many senses, now has spent 4 years confronting this very bluntly, meaning you cannot sit on the side and not notice what's happening to you once survival mode is on, once the jungle law is what determines who you are, how much you're worth, and how is your reality going to look like. So these are important, I would call it even eras, because as difficult as they may be, and sometimes dangerous as they may be, they would make you, even if you don't wish to, they would they would force you to look yourself in the eyes and acknowledge what happens to you when you adopt survival mode, or even further than that, going further, thinking that that's life. And maybe you got confused when you were concerned, you were looking for love, you were admiring beauty, you were wishing for something that's soft and tender, and you believed in abundance. You start thinking that maybe you were dreaming, daydreaming instead of really seeing things. But if I acknowledge, if I'm awakened to, if I see more and more that actually life is not about survival, it is about love. It is about being one with everyone. And it's about learning to know and to, it's not even admire, it's like looking at a miracle of, of what a person, human being is. Then leadership comes to serve this revelation so that a leader would speak to the people or to a person relating to and calling for this true nature of us, the beauty of our true nature, the beauty of the miracle that we are, allowing the other person to be revealed to himself. That's one part of it. And the other part of leadership, which comes out not of survival mode and not of the mind, but of nature, of the truth, our true being, the law of nature, as you called it, then it would be of service, but not serving an idea that we've created and grown to believe that this is the right thing to do, but serving the spirit of human beings, allowing every day to reveal to us the difference between what we believed as an idea and what we know as an inner knowing. When we have ideas, we either justify them, or we contradict them, or we try to enforce them. And in that way, we come out of fear and lacking. But if I serve to really obey, like the little prince, the natural law, then from there, a new kind of beauty, creativity, wisdom, and, and power, real power, evolve. That is the, when I see this kind of leadership, the only thing that I can say is, tell me what you need and I will do that.
I will serve.
Yeah, because it's service. It's service in the most fundamental aspect of it. And then it also makes you see that you didn't know what you are. Because when you serve, when you really serve, then you serve the mystery. You serve the thing itself. And then it calls for you to reach the end of what you've grown to believe was you, and see and discover that there are endless paths beyond what you thought was your limit or your edge. There are no edges. And only that kind of service allows us to know them, and then to experience ourselves being that. And I don't think that there is anything more beautiful and even alive than this. It's the same. That's what is being expressed in parenthood. This is what is expressed in, for example, what doctors and nurses do now. Yeah, they're asked to go way beyond their limits, way beyond what we thought human beings can do, what we have ever imagined that we need to do. Okay, and
But
they do.
there's a not but, or maybe, yeah. This is there's when you're talking, I feel like there's a lot on stake here. Is this how you say it? At stake, because in a way, and my voice is shivering when I say this, in a way, to give up to give up or to let go of the survival mode and go 100% with what you're saying. And I'm totally going with you. When you talked, my heart sang. But what I also see is that if I go all the way with it, I need to keep in mind that I might die. You said it with the doctors. Yeah, they go to work. I'm sure they have this in their heart and in their head, and maybe even when they sign the contract, you know that you're a doctor, you take this. And you mentioned the little prince. The little prince is alone in the desert in a survival mode, and eventually he dies. Giving in to the mystery in a perfect poetic and very much also down to the ground conversation with the snake, totally giving into the oneness. So, and also it refers, now I speak and I realize that it connects to what I said in the beginning. Many times the path of the leader in myths and movies, at some point they need to get over this to do this leap of faith and to be willing to die.
Yeah.
For the service.
Yeah, the doctors, they don't make a contract, it's a vow.
A vow, yeah, I didn't have the word.
And it's exactly the difference, okay? Because when you vow, and I'm not only talking religious wise, okay? But when you vow, actually what you experience is that what really makes everything go, what makes everything exist is not you. You serve, but you vow because there is this larger, it's something larger. It's a dimension that is not run by us, thank God. And that is not something that is, it's not possible to understand it. It's wisdom. It's not possible to understand its logic. There is a very nice chapter in the New Testament where you can see that Jesus says, "I bring you my peace, not your peace. I bring you my wisdom, not your wisdom." And that is it. It's this movement, this understanding that I give myself to what really is, to what really is there, to the thing itself. And then when I give myself over, it's where I begin to live. The mind says if you give yourself over, then actually you lose yourself.
Yeah, it's a suicide move.
Looks like
for the mind.
Then voluntarily, yeah, nobody made me. Voluntarily, that's what I do. But actually, there's a very nice way of saying it in spirituality, and it says dying to self. Because when I die to self, actually what it says is that, what it means is that I die to anything that I thought I was, to everything that I thought was me. Then when I allow this to happen, actually now I interrupt no longer. And when I interrupt no longer by looking at myself as an idea or a thing, then something, then the thing itself can, first of all, it is there. And then it can also speak through me, use my hands, my vocal cords, my eyesight, and it can do whatever it comes to do. And I am its servant. And if we go back to leadership, if a leader sees that, then he doesn't think of what he thinks to be true. He serves. That's why even when we looked at Joe Biden now taking office, he said, I am everyone's president. Also, I'm the president of the people who did not support me. I am the president of the people who thought I'm dangerous for them. I am the president of the people who tried to make me go away. Because it is not about me. Okay, it is not about us. But when we acknowledge this and we stop thinking that it is about us, or for that matter, that we are the ones doing that, that this is our idea, this is our motivation, this is our
mission.
result. Yeah, because then we become dangerous, we become extremists. Okay, when we believe in the thought, in the idea, in the identity. But if I know that I serve something larger than everyone is actually my partner. Everyone is the one that through him or her, I would acknowledge what's the service that is asked of me, and I would serve totally, I would be the absolute yes.
And from that movement, from that motion, what I hear is everyone becomes a leader in their personal life, in their personal close circle, because they give themselves over to this one, I'm being careful of saying this, but to this one mission that we all share.
It's not exactly a mission. I want to clarify.
Yeah, sharp my words.
It's like our breath is not a mission. Okay, we breathe because that's part of being alive. So if we look at leadership from exactly the same angle, from the same perspective, then actually being a leader or leading, which is more accurate, as you said it now, leading is actually, it happens when I give myself over and I keep on feeling and I serve. Because many times our mind works like that. Either I know where I'm going and then I'm all for it, or I'm passive. And then either somebody else determines what we're going to do, where we're going to go, or I'm just desperate, or there's despair. It's not even desperate. There's nothing there.
Actually, I see now that the moment I have a mission, or I think that I have a mission, I'm interrupting. Right. And there's a beautiful scene coming to my mind, from life, actually, not from a movie. I was with a friend and his mom was with us, and he was playing a PlayStation, or he was doing something, and she talked to him and it bothered him. And he was like, yeah, okay. It wasn't so nice. And I was there, and I was also like, but it's between him and his mom. I didn't want to interfere. And there was a moment of like a unpleasant pause. And then she said, don't talk to me like this. I'm your mom. And I could see that, my heart was beating from the intensity of I don't know, like life. There
Yeah.
was this vibration that I don't think she was trying to educate him. He's a grown-up man, and also she doesn't. It wasn't a big deal, but it was just a moment of simply saying a truth
Mm-hmm.
that she was able to say because she gave herself this moment of feeling,
Yeah.
and something very genuine in her said, don't talk to me like this. And I don't know, somehow this scene came because maybe this is leadership. What she did is just spending a moment in the scene, in what is happening, being present, being like daring to being super 100% engaged, um, and then speak.
Yeah.
Einfach, sorry, it's German. Just speak.
Yeah.
What comes out will be wisdom, will be pure wisdom, even if it will be uncomfortable, even if the other person, like he could have said, he actually listened very well, very beautifully, and he immediately saw that she's right, and he apologized, and everything was fine. But even if the other person would react aggressively and say, I'm a grown-up man, don't educate me, or
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, he will reject this wisdom and will miss it, which is, by the way, I think the meaning of a sin in English is missing the point. Um, Still, maybe this is what you're saying. It's like breathing. Sometimes speaking comes in the same natural way.
Yeah. This kind of speech, which is not so common, we usually speak in order to. We speak to
Exactly.
do something, to take something somewhere, to make a change, to stop something that we don't want to continue. But actually, if we allow ourselves to speak in that manner, what this mother did was, first of all, sharing. She was telling him what happened to her, what she sees when he does that. So in a way, she allowed him to make a difference in her life. She allowed him to make her feel and see things. And then, meaning she didn't interrupt, she was there present. And then she conveyed what she felt. She could tell him what she saw.
But she
And she
didn't say, but it's different because she didn't say,
You hurt me.
you hurt me,
Right. So
or
that's
I feel offended. She was like,
right.
no.
Because that was deviation from our natural movement. She was calling him. She was calling him strongly. She was reminding him, and she was calling him not only to notice, but to come back to his own nature. Okay? It's not that she thought that something really happened to her, like really damaged her when he speaks like that. But that is not the way that it is. It is not how nature works. It is not how our nature is being expressed when we're authentic. It's she could notice the interruption that he was making for himself.
Yeah.
Okay, and then she called him, and that's an act of um, not only trust, but it's an act of course, of love, but also of she saw him. Okay, she knows who he is even when he is confused. Okay, that's not reproach in the sense of making someone wrong or making someone feel guilty for what he does, but calling his soul, calling his true nature to to just bring him back.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah. And
I think,
that's when we speak
yeah.
about leadership, we are like, I think there are two things that I would just, point out. One of them is that when we speak about leadership, we talk about change and we talk about um, making things right again.
Better.
Yeah. Instead, we might be acknowledging that the leader knows his people or knows what a human being is. It's not correct to say knows his people, knows what a human being is, acts from there, and speaks very clearly to other people so that they would be reminded. That can only be, just one more second, that can only happen if very fundamentally he knows that everyone that he encounters calls him to be reminded of what he really is, acknowledging the difference between the image that he has become, the ideas that he believes to be himself, and his true nature. Because if he doesn't do that, it takes so little time for him to become an idea, to become an ideal. And then from there, everything is deteriorating. Okay, we need to all the time remember that, first of all, fundamentally, before everything else, we are disciples of this universe. And if we allow ourselves to be disciples of this universe in every encounter, even in encounters that were not possible, but I know what was waiting for me there.
What do you mean are not possible?
For example, Israel has people who are fighting with us. We're fighting with them. We believe that we are enemies, but many of them, no, not even many of them, every one of them makes a call. Yeah, he's calling me to acknowledge something that amongst my people I cannot acknowledge. Okay, it can be something that I'm called for, or something that I should be awakened from. And I can't meet them personally for now. I hope I would, but for now. So that when I listen to them speak, even if they speak very bluntly against me, against my people, against my country, good. That would make me see wherever it would make it possible for me to identify wherever I have an identity, or I believe that I have an identity, or that I am a cause, or I am an idea, letting it go and then listening, thanks to him or her, listening to what I'm called for, listening to what time has come. And that is true for him and for me, or for her and for me, both.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, it has to be, because we're one. It has to be.
Yeah, and also because we live in the same time. Like, it cannot be that something evolves and it's only relevant for one piece.
Right.
It's like,
but as you said before, in order to do that, I need to be willing to die.
yeah.
And in that sense, dying is not only because it's not only willing to die physically, which is also important, I must say. Okay, because if I'm not willing to die physically, which doesn't mean that I want to, and it doesn't mean that I won't rise up when needed, but if I'm willing to die, then I will not discard anyone, and I would not say to him or to her, I cannot listen. To him or to her, I don't allow to impact, to have an impact on me, very fundamentally, even to destabilize me to the core, to the bone. Okay? Because there will be a place where I'll be afraid to die, and then I will push them away.
Yeah, but this is let's give it a moment, because this is a lot to ask of a person.
Yeah, but on the other hand, the
You become naughty.
the alternative is fighting, dying, okay, and causing pain, living by fear. So it's not that we can really choose whether to live a great life of comfort, not in the shadow sense of it, but really of real partnership, love, respect coming from our inner knowing. It's not that. It's either we fight and then we have pauses like truce or other pauses, and then we fight again. That's the history of the human race. Yeah.
Because we are driven by survival, basically.
Because we're afraid to die. If we will not be afraid to die, it doesn't mean that we will die. It's exactly as Jesus said, when you turn the other cheek, you don't necessarily suffer another blow. What you will be encountering is your infinity, because then you will know that you are unable to guard yourself. You are unable to control things and to avoid pain and suffering. You know that you cannot control. But if you don't interrupt, if you don't think, if you won't think that it's possible for you to be in control, that you can control your life, then the wisdom, the practicality, the awareness, the grounding,
simplicity
that life brings forth is different. And there is another aspect of dying, which means that I would ask to die to self, so that I will be reminded again and again that the self is a creation of individuals and
culture.
Yeah, culture, community, state. And it's an experience, but it is not what we are. So when it's time to conclude, when it's time to finish the experience, it's to end it because it's no longer relevant, we want to end it and to let the infinity discover or allow ourselves to discover the new phase or the new era that is there. And from there, I wish to really pray for the United States. I think it's a new era. And to participate in such a new era is a privilege.
This is, I feel like this is, on one hand, very, very advanced, what we're saying. It's like, I can hear it, how it sounds to my mind, like super spiritual to say something like that. But before, when you said, yeah, but what's the alternative? Suddenly it's like, it fell on the ground like a rock, and there was nothing spiritual about it. Because seriously, in many, like, if I put it on the bottom line, we have two alternatives, and they're both involved our relationship with death. One is to be willing to accept this helplessness that we will die, and this is not exactly our call when and how, and to kind of, breathe into it and say, like what you did before, And the other one is to try and control this, try to make some kind of order in it, be the master of it, which means very simply fight, flee, make negotiations. Yeah, that would be the middle, or die. So, anyway.
Exactly.
We keep choosing the other, like the second one.
Yeah.
We don't really know what it's like to live as a society, as a community, as a whole, as a unison. In the first option, huh?
Mm.
We never really experienced it. There are only like once in a while you hear of a person who did that or said that, and they gave away and brought some new light into the realm of human.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's a good chord to end with. Feel very invited, people, to comment and react and question and answer. And as we said, this is a shared inquiry, a true realm of love and so yeah, please comment and we'll be here to answer or to explore with you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, and see you next week.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you. You too.